The City of Bristol, providing beautiful parks, economic development, and a family-friendly community.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council and Board of Finance for the month of March. I'd like to ask all of you to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the members attending the joint meeting please introduce themselves?
John Smith, Board of Finance.
Orlando Kelfi, Board of Finance.
Cheryl Tebow, Board of Finance.
Peter Kelly, City Council.
Greg Hahn, City Council.
Scott Rosado, City Council.
Victoria Zaldivar on the Mayor's Youth Cabinet.
Dave Prolesky, City Council.
Brittany Barney, City Council.
Mary Fortier, City Council.
And I'm Mayor Ellen Zappo Sasso, who can't find her joint board agenda. Okay. So to begin our meeting, our first item is to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting on February 11th, 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
Any conversation or discussion on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Which one of you? Welcome, Commissioner Jones.
Hello.
The next item is our consent calendar. We have several items to A through J. Are there any items on the consent calendar that anybody would like to pull off for further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 is to make an additional appropriation of $16,457 within the Energy Efficiency Fund contingency account.
Move
Motion.
approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 is to decrease the appropriations totaling $1,233,630 within the Capital Projects Fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is to make additional appropriations totaling $517 within the Capital Projects Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Nice too. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 is to approve transfers totaling $344,702 within the Capital Projects Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is to transfer $670,800 within the DEEP Open Space Project, decreasing the sale of bonds and notes and increasing the DEEP Open Space Grant for the city's share of the grant.
So moved. Motion to approve.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is to make an additional appropriation of $200,000 within the Capital Projects Fund for the Center Square parking lot.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 is to approve the resolution appropriating $200,000 for the Center Square parking lot and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote starting on my left.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The resolution is approved. Item 10 is to make an additional appropriation of $244,000 within the School Capital Projects Fund and a transfer of $11,000 from the School Capital Projects contingency account for the Northeast Middle School gym floor project.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11 is to approve the resolution appropriating $255,000 for the Northeast Middle School gym floor project for an aggregate of $285,000 and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, a roll call vote starting on my right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to vote for me?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. Resolution is approved. And the next one is to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of $244,000 bonds or notes for the Northeast Middle School gym floor replacement project and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote starting on my left.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The resolution's approved. And the last, item 13, is to approve another resolution ratifying the appropriation of $2.1 million for the acquisition of Shrub Road parcels, open space grant application, and the authorization of bonds or notes to finance the appropriation and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, through the chair, if I may. I am going to vote for this project, and there's several reasons. One is, we've gone a long way down this path, and we have the grant, which we recently did. But I did want to speak out and say that I have to concur with our former Board of Finance member, Jake Carrier, on his evaluation of this property, and just state that when he asked for another appraisal, that was a fair recommendation based on his years of experience in the industry. And I just want to say that I feel that this is overpriced. However, we're down this path. We've have the grant. I don't want to jeopardize losing that grant, but I think Jake had brought some valuable information to the Board of Finance at our last meeting and should have been given that opportunity to extend that further. So thank you.
So I will have to strongly disagree with your assessment. Mr. Carrier was a valued member of the Board of Finance, but he is neither an appraiser or he is neither a gravel and mine operator, and I think that his opinion, while we all listened to it, was exactly that. He had the ability to vote no, which he did. We disagreed on the premise of how this grant was rolled out, how everything was handled, and frankly, it was like putting a square peg in a round hole at that point 2 weeks ago. So with all due respect, he is entitled to his opinion. He made his opinion clear. The vast majority of the people in the room disagreed with his opinion, and now it's time to move on. So I will call for a resolution roll call vote starting on my far left.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the monthly revenue and expense report presentation by Controller Diane Waldron.
Good evening. Actually, don't have a lot to report tonight, just you have the report in front of you. The revenues are still coming in pretty strong on the tax side, the building permit side, and the conveyance fees. All tax revenues are at 98.9%, and as I've been reporting, the motor vehicle supplement is coming in strong. Building permit and the conveyance fees are at 86 and 81.9%. We will watch closely. I think we'll be okay for this fiscal year, but I know we're working on next year's budget with regard to investment earnings. I think we're going to take a hard look at that in light of everything going on in the market right now, just to make sure that our estimates are accurate. We've been exceeding them over the last couple of years, which you don't want to chase that kind of a revenue, so we may just leave it flat or may look at a reduction if we feel that it's necessary. But we're working on next year's budget for that. But I think this year we'll be fine and we will exceed the budget. With regard to expenditures, on the city side, we're doing well. Nothing of concern to report. On the Board of Ed side, they do come to the Board of Finance meetings and they do make a quarterly report. Actually, they do give us reports monthly, but they come and present every quarter. But based on the last report, their expenditures are trending higher than budget. However, compared to budget amounts, they're doing a little bit better in comparison to the prior year. And I just wanted to mention that they have implemented a general fund budget freeze across all of their departments, which they hope will mitigate their any deficits that they might have at the end of the year or any shortages. I do want to report, we did receive notice that the ECS grant will be short about $263,000 this year. Again, it's one of those excess cost adjustments that come through around this time of the year. So that's about $263,800 to this year's number. We are working on the budget. A couple of dates just to keep in mind. The CIP, there's a 10-year CIP meeting this Monday, March 16th. March 24th is a Board of Finance meeting, and we will be looking at all of the miscellaneous accounts. I think the Bristol Water Department, the Water Pollution Control, employee benefits, pensions, OPEB, all those funds we'll be looking at on the 24th. March 31st is the workshop, the first workshop where we have an overview of the budget, and then the second workshop is April 21st. And then one other date, just to mention, March 26th, the Board of Education will be bringing their budget to the Board of Finance. So just wanted to let you know what some of those dates are. We are working on the budget and trying to put everything together. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for our controller? Okay, if there is nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will commence the City Council meeting in about 3 minutes. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March City Council meeting. I'd like to ask that all of you stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The members of the City Council, please introduce themselves, starting on my far right.
Peter Kelly, District 2.
Greg Hahn, District 1.
Scott Rosado, District 1.
Dave Proleski, District 2.
Brittany Barney, District 3.
Mary Fortier, District 3.
And tonight, for opening ceremonies, we are going to ask for a brief moment of reflection for the outbreak for the coronavirus, which has been occupying most of our emergency management response team's attention for the last 2 weeks. It has claimed many lives across the globe and is now infringing on Connecticut, and I think it's probably just a matter of time until we are in a full-fledged response mode. So a moment of silence for those who are afflicted, for those who have already succumbed to the disease, and a hopeful thought that we will be prepared for Connecticut. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular City Council meeting from February 11th, 2020.
Move it.
Second.
Any questions? Corrections on anything circulated? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention from Councilman Rosado, who is absent for the February meeting. Okay. Moving on to public participation. We have 2 presentations and 1 public speaker. I'm going to ask Councilman Kelly to come front and center because he will be presenting tonight's All Heart Award.
Thank you, Mayor. We're honored to have both the coaching staff and runners from the Bristol Central Rams indoor track team. We have 2 state finalists, state champions here tonight between Nate D'Angelo, who won the 3,200 meters, and the 4x800 relay team, which is comprised of Nate, Mark Petrosky, Austin Frev, and Jose Ramirez. And just a side note, Mark and Jose Ramirez came within 21 hundredths of bringing home 2 other state titles for the Rams. So that's quite an accomplishment, and Bristol Central is really putting itself on the statewide and someday national map with the talent that they've developed there at Bristol Central. I'd also like to acknowledge the 2 coaches, one who's here, one is not. The head coach is Kevin Taylor. The assistant coach is Paul Ryskowski, both former Rams themselves, and both of them had storied collegiate careers. Kevin Taylor was an All-American javelin thrower at Southern Connecticut, and Paul Ryskowski, the assistant coach, was an all-conference cross-country runner. So congratulations to both the coaching staff and the runners for a job well done and making Bristol proud. And if you gentlemen can join me up here at the dais, we'd like to present you with your certificates and take advantage of a photo opportunity.
Coaches, too.
Mayor, you're going to be joining us as well.
Do you want me to read the proclamations, or are you?
Yes, please.
So what we have are just all our awards, because going to the class open, state open, and winning, it's quite an accomplishment considering the competition and everything that goes into track. So the first one is to the coach, Paul Ryskowski. You can hand it. And Nate D'Angelo. And Austin. And Mark. And Jose. And if someone would like to bring Coach Taylor's back to him, we have that as well. Congratulations. Okay. Coach Ryskowski, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I didn't have anything planned, but for those that don't follow track and field, it's tough to know what, real talent and hard work looks like, but we have 4 guys up here that embody those things. I've been coaching for 6-7 years now, and I would never admit to them during the season, but rarely are you starstruck by your own athletes. And these guys will do something on the track, and every meet I'll be starstruck by 4 high school kids, and you guys are really, truly something special. Very proud of you.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. The next item under public participation is our monthly nonprofit spotlight, and this month we are featuring Mr. Layton from the Bristol Elks Lodge 1010, which is going to give us an overview of all of the community involvement components that go out from the Bristol Lodge right here in Bristol.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and the City Council members. I've been invited here tonight to talk about our Elks Lodge 1010 in Bristol and the good work that we do. My comments will be brief, but I encourage you to get all of your questions answered. The Elks are impressive because of their volunteer work and the money they raise for communities across the United States. Our organization first began in 1868, and over the next 150 years, we've grown to a volunteer force of nearly 1.2 million men and women. This impressive group does some amazing work in 2,100 communities. For the period of 2018 and 2019, the 2,100 Elks Lodges donated over $460 million. Some may think the Elks Lodge is simply a social group. That's not the case. Some of the projects our Elks does are fundraising for Special Olympics and Rally for Life. On March 29th, we're doing the Penguin Plunge in Westbrook, and we'll donate thousands of dollars to Special Olympics. Our bike helmet safety program at the Bristol Library, reading program for grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. We sponsor 4 blood drives a year, and one of our most enjoyable events is the Special Friends Christmas Party at the Lodge. Our guests are autistic and handicapped children and adults, invited to our lodge for a Christmas party complete with full turkey dinner, gifts, and music. It's an amazing event that every guest looks forward to year after year. And we have programs for veterans, youth, and more. There's our hoop shoot and soccer programs. Our Elks Hoop Shoot is the proud new sponsor of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame's annual Morgan Wooden Lifetime Achievement Award. There are 31 Elks Lodges in Connecticut, and we all have a commitment to give back to the community. There's arguably no bigger issue today than the opioid, alcohol, tobacco, vaping, and prescription medication addictions across America. Bristol faces the same tough issue, substance abuse. Ladies and gentlemen, it is practically every day that I talk to someone who has a personal story about themselves or a loved one who is struggling with substance abuse. 3 weeks ago, I went to visit a friend in Hartford Hospital. I was entering, and I was remembering back a couple of years ago, and I said, the last time I was in this hospital, I was seeing my son. Why was he here? Because he was brought in by ambulance after overdosing. The reason I'm sharing this personal story is to impress upon each of us the importance of tackling this disease. Thankfully, the City of Bristol and the Elks have an aggressive drug awareness program. Our Bristol Lodge leadership asked me to volunteer to take on this tough assignment, and there were 3 reasons that I agreed. First, I personally met dozens of volunteers at the Lodge who work hard every week providing help and hope to those in the community. Second, I saw the commitment that Bristol's putting into its fight against addictions with its Best for Bristol Coalition and COBRA and our opioid task force programs. I believe that this approach with education, information, and a second chance over penalizing offenders is making a difference. Third, I saw the extensive resources and materials and support to our citizens that is in place and ready to go to work. I read the mayor's article, Bristol's response to the opioid epidemic, and asked her how the Elks could help. Almost immediately, the mayor asked me to attend the Best for Bristol Coalition. At that meeting, I talked about the Elks tools. We have essay, poster, and video contests for school children. We have the Elks Enrique Camarino Award, and I'm proud to say we're presenting our Bristol nominee with a special award this month on March 28th. His name is Captain Richard Guerrera. If any of you would like to attend, please let Mayor Sapo Sassu know. The Elks organization has been in the fight against addictions since 1982. In that time, we have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in materials, programs, and educational speakers available to anyone. For example, we have the Elks Kids Zone. the Elks Red Ribbon Week, the Elks Drug Take Back Day, Elroy the Elk mascot, our trailer, and just lots of literature and pamphlets on opioid and substance abuse. We have our Enrique Camerino Award, information on vaping, drinking and driving, and opioids, and we have our elks.com website. And we have our national spokesperson, Ray Lozano. Ray crisscrosses the country speaking to school students, parents, and groups. Ray will be visiting Bristol on October 5th. Ray's schedule is to present at 3 Bristol schools and an evening presentation for adults at the Doubletree. Best of all, ladies and gentlemen, the cost of Ray's visit to Bristol is completely paid for by the Elks organization. Today, our Elks Lodge 1010 is active on the Best for Bristol Coalition, the Opioid Task Force, bringing Ray Lozano to Bristol, and presenting the Enrique Camerino Award. Our extensive library of videos, pamphlets, and presentations are available on our Best Bristol All Heart, Best for Bristol, and Opioid Task Force websites. We are also presenting the President's Citizen Award at the banquet, and our recipient is Pat Stebbins from Brian's Angels. Again, that presentation is March 28th, and please let me know if you'd like to attend. I know there are members of the City Council who are Elks members. Thank you for your volunteering in your community. And in closing, I'd like to thank the Elks Lodge for all of the hard work and support they provide here in the city of Bristol. I'm honored to represent the Elks Lodge 1010 here tonight, and thank you to the City Council for your leadership and devotion to our Bristol residents. This is a good example of the city and civic community working together for the common good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on March 28th.
Okay.
The last person for public participation is Mayor Stortz.
Thank you, Mayor. From time to time, I have suggested that the city fly and display Bristol flags in more locations, such as schools, parks, other buildings, to show pride in our city. I recently mentioned this again on Facebook, and when I did, the issue of cost came up, and someone asked me if I would pay for them. I really can't afford all the flags, but since I put my 2 cents in, here are 2 city flags for the city to display as they see fit. Hope you will expand on this.
Thank
And
you
someone
very
will get
much.
these?
Peter Kelly will. Thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. That was like the brightness I needed in my day today, I think. I needed that story today after all the stuff on the news. Like, that was just wonderful. Thank you.
And here I thought you were going to complain about something. Okay. Is there any other public participation or anyone in the room who would like to bring anything forward to the City Council who may not have had an opportunity to sign up for public participation? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. And I'm going to, actually for the first time, I'm going to start because I think the announcement that I have is one of great excitement for those of us up here. For those of you who may know, we've had our former fire chief is now retired, and we have embarked on a search and a testing process over the last 8 weeks. And tonight, I am happy to report that a contract has been signed, and the new chief, pending our vote that we're going to take very shortly, is Mark Flynn, who is currently a lieutenant stationed at Engine 3, who will be promoted. He has a 36-year career as a firefighter, and they encompass industrial firefighting, EMT, which is becoming an increasingly important response here in the city, volunteerism, as well as his career here in Bristol. So we are very excited to have him come on, and I also would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank Acting Chief Robert Paggio, who has served for the last month or so and has done an incredible job under, in sometimes difficult circumstances. And he is very anxious to get back to his platoon, and we're anxious to get him back there as well. So this transition is starting this week, and the full transition will be done as of Monday, where soon-to-be Fire Chief Flynn will take the helm solo. I'd like to, before we have the vote, just ask him to stand up. He's here with two of his daughters. Okay. And a very formal pinning ceremony and promotional ceremony will be taking place very shortly in the future, which everybody here in the city will be invited to attend at a date that is convenient for both the family and the fire department. So that being said, I'd like to call for a motion for a four-year appointment for soon-to-be Chief Flynn.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. I know that tonight is really just a formality to get the contract in place, but if you did want to say a few words, you're obviously welcome to do so, or you can wait for your official promotional ceremony.
I'll just say thank you for all the support right now. Thank you, and your confidence in me.
Did you borrow a white shirt from someone for tomorrow?
How's your meeting?
Okay. We'll see you tomorrow over at the department. Congratulations. So going back to announcements, if anybody can top that, we'll start on my left.
None from me.
I did want to just say something. I saw something about, COVID-19, and we all have heard a lot about this. And I know today there was some really disappointing news for students that are athletes, where there's going to be no games for the remainder of the winter season for sports. And I wanted to just say for myself and everybody up here and anyone that, has a connection with that it's really disappointing. And I'm really sorry that you're having to deal with that, especially seniors. That this might be their last year playing a sport like this. I think it's a big deal and it should be mentioned. But I want to caveat that with saying that for everybody's safety, I understand the measures, and I learned a little bit more about why they're doing it. Even some facilities were unwilling to host a tournament. So there was a lot of factors that went into the decision that was made at the CIAC level. And I just wanted to say for myself and everybody that has an opinion on the council about this, that I'm sorry that those who are watching can't finish out their season. But I will say thank you for playing an awesome season. My daughter and and her grandfather, my dad, got to go to many Bristol Central, Bristol Eastern, and St. Paul boys and girls games. They had a great time, and we're really impressed by the athleticism of those teams. And so, sorry that this couldn't continue, but I think erring on the side of caution is the most important thing to try to hopefully control this virus and make everybody have a great life to go forward and play more basketball next year. So, sorry. I guess that's it.
None. None.
Nothing from me.
I do have an announcement, Your Honor. Collegiate boxing is coming to Bristol March 13th through the 15th. I can see Andy Adams and Deb Schurz both very excited about that. But it's hosted by UConn, who is coached by a local Bristol police officer, Mike Camposano. And it's going to be the Eastern Regional Tournament. And that is sponsored by the National Collegiate Boxing Association. And there are going to be, UConn is the host school, Penn State, Kutztown U, Army, Shippensburg University, Trinity College, Lock Haven U, University of Hartford, and UMass. Now, once again, it's at the Bristol Sports Armory, the newly renovated and beautiful Bristol Sports Armory, starting Friday, the 13th. Going to pick it up on Saturday at 1 o'clock and Sunday, if necessary, at 10 a.m. So if everyone can attend and support this endeavor, if you've never been to boxing before, it's an interesting sport, and you have males and females competing. I think you'll all enjoy it. And there is food and drink available is there. So come support the Fighting Huskies. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? One thing that I do want to just quickly mention is for our viewing audience and everyone in the room, the invitation to respond to the census should be in your mailboxes this coming week. You will have the choice to do it electronically for the first time, or you can request a paper response, or you can have an enumerator start coming to your home in June. So those are the three choices, and we are looking to have as much of a complete count in Bristol as possible. So please watch your mailboxes for your census invitation. Next item is our consent calendar, of which we have several items. We are going to pull off item J, as it is no longer needed. So may I have a vote to remove item J?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I believe that we are going to pull off item L. And I believe that there was
Item C.
item C. We're going to pull off item C. And why do I have item H circled? Does somebody want to pull off item H? Or are we going to talk about it?
To talk about that, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to pull off item H. So we have already voted to dispense with item J. We are going to ask to pull off items C, H, and L. In the form of a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we move to those items, may I have a vote to approve the remaining items on the consent calendar?
So
A, B,
moved.
D, E, F, G, I, K, M, N, and O.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Hahn, you wanted to speak to consent calendar item C?
Yes, I pulled this because I wanted to bring attention to what we're doing here. A few years ago, Bristol had a solar program to bring solar energy to more homeowners in Bristol. And we're revisiting that on the Energy Commission. And what we're looking to do is participate in a Solar for All program. This is to address an underserved market, providing low and moderate income homeowners an option for solar to offset utility prices. For this campaign, we have a resource available in Connecticut Green Bank in conjunction with Sustain Connecticut and partnering with Posigen. This, for example, could give an elderly couple in their home an option for solar that they could not previously afford, and thus bringing down their energy costs and saving them annual money. So this is a good thing for everybody, and we're looking to talk this up and advertise, and you're going to see the programs come out. Through the Energy Commission, I'd particularly like to thank the Facility and Energy Manager, Dave Oakes. He did a tremendous amount of work on this to bring this to the table, and we're very happy to be a part of this. So please look for this campaign, and please refer it to your neighbors or family members that might be able to benefit by the solar energy and reducing their energy costs. Thank you.
So would you like to make a motion to approve?
I'd like to motion to approve item C.
Second.
To authorize Dave Oakes to submit a letter of intent for the City of Bristol to participate in Solar for All campaign offered through Sustainable Connecticut, and to allow the use of municipal logo on campaign and promotional materials on municipal calendar, website, social media, and other promotional channels by Posigen for a Solar for All campaign.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For item H, do one of the councilwomen from District 3 want to briefly touch on what we're doing there?
I mean, would the Public Works Director to be able to comment on that?
Or we can punt it to the Public Works Director.
Well, I'm honestly not like.
All right, so to authorize the mayor or acting mayor to sign any and all documents associated with and required by local regulatory agencies for construction authorization of Pine Lake parking lot located on Birch Street. So I know that we've been covering this, you've gone to the hearings. This is related to the money that we're receiving. Okay.
Yes, so the
Okay.
specific request is, as indicated, to authorize the mayor to sign any and all land use applications, but it's really associated with a proposed parking lot that's going to be accessed immediately off of Birch Street where the challenge, course is. It's essentially one way in, one way out, approximately 8-10 parking places, and actually, room for a bus. And it's really because when the Superior Electric remediation project moves, forward, we're going to lose access to the parking that they currently utilize and the soccer field, really because they would have to cross a construction zone.
And so the money that we're using to do this is coming from the remediation fund?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm. And then, do you know, will these parking spaces be only used for the Pine Lake Challenge Course? Will they be able to be used by people that want to just walk or fish there?
Those, the type of details, I don't know. My understanding is not going to be, prohibited.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, and then, so this is just to get it through the land use process. This is not authorizing for the project to happen right now. It still needs to be referred to zoning, just to confirm. Did I understand?
This is for land use approvals.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions about what's happening at Pine Lake?
No, thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Okay, would you like to make the motion to approve?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve this item. H.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve item H. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item L, which is to award contract 2C20-057A roadway reconstruction and drainage and miscellaneous work to Tobacco and Son Builders Incorporated for $489,500, contingent upon successful resolution of information relevant to filings for Department of Administrative Services, Commission on Human Resources and Opportunities, and to authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute.
Your Honor, I asked to have that pulled off. I'm conflicted, and I need to abstain and not participate in any discussion.
Okay, so by the time we're done, you're going to be walking back, so. So Councilman Proleski has a conflict due to representation in other arenas, so we are going to list him as an abstention. Can someone else make the motion for item L?
I make a motion to approve item L.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that takes care of our consent calendar. Moving on to item 6, which is reports and committee reports. We're going to start with the Real Estate Committee.
Your Honor, I have a motion. I hereby move that the City of Bristol enter into an exclusive right to sell listing contract with Keller Williams Realty for 6 months for the property known as Lot 6, 7, and 8, which is Rock Road, Bristol, Connecticut. The price to be listed shall be assessed value of the property. I further move that this matter be referred to Corporation Counsel to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there?
Yes, if I may. This is a property that we have had on the, tried to sell in the past, and it fell off the contract late last year. We took a look at it. One of the reasons why we think that it wasn't selling was because of the wetlands. But what we did was we confirmed that it is, we can build on the lot, it is developable. So we're relisting it for the next 6 months because there was some question on how much it could be developed by the people that were inquiring. So this hopefully will help the issue and we'll be able to get it sold within the next 6 months.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item from real estate?
Yes, Your Honor. I hereby move that the City of Bristol place on the list of open space properties for future grant applications the Shafrick property known as Assessor's Map 60, lots 11 and 12-5 Perkins Street. I further move that the Shafrick property be referred to the 10-year Capital Improvement Committee, the Parks Department, and the Planning Commission for a Connecticut General Status Section 824 review to confirm that these properties conform with the Plan of Conservation and Development.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. This is land next to the Hoppers. Right now, it's being used, the Shaffer family has been allowing people to, there's trails there, and people do use it for walking their dogs and recreation, and have for many years. And they're looking to see if it's a possibility for the city to take over the property, since it is being used in that capacity. So we feel that this move to see if we can move this forward with the grant process would be the best use.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C is the opioid task force update. There is not much to report this month. Police chief and I and Lisa Coates from Bristol Hospital traveled to Waterbury last week for a roundtable discussion about best practices, about how to integrate police work into healthcare concerns, and that was very successful. It was clear that we were much ahead of many other communities that are struggling with these same problems. Unfortunately, due to all of the health concerns this week, the panel discussion that was scheduled for Bristol Health on Friday has been postponed. And we will have our regular COBRA meeting on Thursday, where we are hearing data about how the diversionary practices at the police department are affecting people seeking treatment. Bristol Health does have recovery coaches in the emergency room now, so there's been some significant movement in the last 4 months in getting people to choose recovery as opposed to just getting back onto the street. So we're going to continue those efforts, and hopefully there'll be more to report next month. Next is we have one addition from our city council committees, and that is to bring onto the table an ordinance committee report for March. Is there a motion to bring it onto the table?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Proleski.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Ordinance Committee has been working on Ordinance Section 15 to 25. And on March 4th, a public hearing was held in discussion of the proposed changes to the ordinance. The ordinance really is designed to clean up the section and delete any references to criminal conduct. The Ordinance Committee met earlier this evening and has recommended that the council accept our motion. I hereby move that Section 15-25, penalties and enforcement of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Bristol, is hereby amended as presented. I further move that the city clerk publish said amendments and additions to the Code of Ordinances, and that they become effective upon the expiration of 14 days from the date of their publication in a newspaper of general circulation of the City of Bristol.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else from the city council committees?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may. Recently, in regards to the Energy Commission, the Energy Commission put forward, and it was approved with the Board of Finance, to create an energy efficient fund. This has been in discussion for several years, and since it was approved, it's the ability to take a piece of the savings that the Energy Commission is finding with their energy savings, the solar energy, the solar fields, and taking a piece of that and reinvesting it back into the Energy Commission and other efforts to save energy and money for this city. It creates a savings to the city and so on to the taxpayer. These seemingly small adjustments in how we conduct business can have great effects down the road and for many years to come, and our effort for green technology and making sure that this is a community effort. So I want to thank the Board of Finance, the Chair, Sean Dunn of the Energy Commission, and of course Diane Waldron, Comptroller, for helping to push this through. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly?
Yes, I just have a brief school readiness report, very brief. Just once again, this is repeated every year, but it's very important. I have a prop. It's time to register for kindergarten again. Everyone on the dais has their badge, and not to beat a dead horse, but children just have a such much more enriching educational experience if things start off in a timely fashion. And I'll read the back of this briefly. Studies have shown that children and families that participate in transitional activities adapt better to school, are happier, have more self-confidence, have a better attitude in the classroom, and have developed a better reading habit. So please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your enemies even. Time to register for kindergarten. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rosado.
Yes, thank you. We'd like to thank the Main Street Community Foundation, which has approved a grant for the development of printing and distribution of 20,000 bilingual flyers in efforts to engage residents in our upcoming Census 2020. We're hoping that our community realizes the importance of the census, and as it pertains to Bristol, we receive over $9 million each year in federal funds. That's a huge hit if we weren't able to keep that coming. Having an accurate count will continue the allocation of these funds based on our population and programs. We encourage every resident, again, to take part in the census and hope for 100% participation in Bristol. Our master plan for Parks and Rec, Bristol Parks and Rec will be sponsoring a public forum regarding the city parks master plan on March 16th at 7:30 p.m. This event will be held right here in the City Council chambers. The community is encouraged to attend, as you'll have the opportunity to meet members from the activities team who will be designing our parks, park board members, and other key personnel that may have an impact regarding the enjoyment of our parks for years to come. Our Page Park pool continues to move ahead on planned and on budget. And we're looking for a June opening. And hopefully that still goes through. Evening of Heroes. The Evening of Heroes event sponsored by the Bristol Exchange Club will take place on Tuesday, March 31st, 6 p.m. at the Doubletree. Please join us as we honor our police officers and explorers of the year. Contact the Bristol Exchange Club at gmail.com for more information. Our Diversity Committee is holding a community CEDAR, a community CEDAR, which will be sponsored by the Bristol Interfaith Coalition, will take place April 1st, 6 p.m. at St. Andrew's Evangelical Lutheran Church. The coalition will present a short version of the telling of our Passover story, accompanied by a light meal. Contact Bristol Interfaith at gmail.com for this event. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Proleski, Memorial Boulevard, as well as any other committee reports?
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, later on in the agenda, our agenda item number 12, we'll be voting on Memorial Boulevard design plan presentation. But I want to bring people up to date. This is a very critical point in the development of the school building. The design documents, project manuals, and cost estimates are being presented on March 11th to the state of Connecticut. What we anticipate happening at that meeting is they will make comments to us. We will incorporate those comments into our plans, and then that will allow us to finally go out to bid. And that's a critical phase in our development of the building. That's where the rubber hits the road, if you will, because based on what those bids come back on, will tell us very clearly what we'll be able to do to maximize the benefits within that building. I was concerned because there's a great deal of information available on the city website, the Board of Education website. We hold meetings monthly, and those minutes are published. They're accurate, they're detailed, and I've been approached since last week's Board of Education meeting where there was an article in the newspaper saying that there's a possible derailment, and people are really concerned about what we're doing there. I think we need to move positively forward diligently and make sure people know how to get information. whether you're here at this meeting tonight, if you're watching on television, Board of Education members, there's a lot of information that exists and has existed for a very long time from which you can ask questions, get this thing moving forward without delay. So I was a little bit disappointed last week when we had some issues about the availability of information. Our next meeting is in the last Thursday of the month. Everyone's invited to attend, and we look forward to our comments from the state of Connecticut. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I was actually attending a CCM event on Thursday last week with the Commissioner of Education, who spoke at length about the priorities out of his office with excess cost and all of the regulatory issues that surround municipalities and education requirements. But he also said something very interesting, and it was about governance. And he said that as his staff and himself go through and deal with municipalities and boards of education and administrators, that they feel inspired by some of the good governance that they see, and then there's a lack of confidence that is shown when there's not good governance. And I think that we need to take that to heart and understand that what we do and how we conduct ourselves oftentimes has repercussions with our funders. Any other committee reports?
Thank you, no.
I would just say from the fire board, I haven't had a chance to meet with them since we've learned of Chief Flynn becoming our new acting fire chief, but we're so happy to have him. I had the opportunity to learn more about him. His focus on education, I think, is really important as we bring that into the department, giving them the ability to learn more about the role. Maybe when they're not actively out fighting fires, they can still be learning more about what they can do in the department to really enjoy their role and feel fulfilled and do great things for the city. He's got a great eye for collaboration and is open to that, which I think is another positive thing that's really going to bring the fire department forward. And I'm really excited to see what happens with him as the chief. So congratulations again. I'm sure you'll hear it many more times over the next few days, but when we meet, we'll get down to business at the next fire board meeting. That's it for me.
Nothing for me, thank you.
So we're going to move on to unfinished business. Does anybody have unfinished business to come before the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. We have two matters. I would like to give just a very brief update on what the city's been doing for preparing for potential infectious coronavirus issues. And then we also need to bring onto the table the ratification of our police contract. So I will actually turn this meeting over to Councilman Hahn, who is serving as the acting mayor for this month, so that he can handle that. I am going to recuse myself for, to be on the record, my husband as a sworn Bristol police officer. I'm conflicted with voting on this contract, nor was I involved in its negotiations. So I'm going to absent myself for this vote, and I will be back. Thank you.
Councilman Perleski, I know you were running point on the negotiations with the police union. Could you give us an update and your thoughts, please?
Thank you. As the mayor announced, she was conflicted with negotiating with the police union, as her husband is a sworn officer. She asked me to represent the city side in her stead, and we just completed about 13 months of active negotiation with the police union. Whenever you go through difficult negotiations, there's oftentimes it becomes contentious. Sometimes it gets bitter. Sometimes slings of arrows go back and forth. But when two sides want to get a deal done, they get it done, and we did. The city didn't get everything we wanted in negotiations, and neither, I think, did the police union. But there are certain things that the city is doing across the board in our union negotiations that are critical for us financially over the long term. We've introduced a high deductible health care plan throughout the city, and included in the police union contract. And there's a higher participation rate in terms of contributions from the members, of the men and women of the police department. And there's a direct contribution within that to our OPEB fund, which is underfunded at this point, and which is very important strategic goal for us financially. So I'm proud to tell you that the negotiations are complete. I think the vote was this afternoon, Jim, and it was overwhelmingly approved by the rank and file within the police department. There are a number of the representatives from the police union here tonight, and I want to thank you for your diligence, your hard work, and your persistence through the 13-month process. And I want to thank our comptroller, Diane Waldron, who was instrumental in playing a very key role, as was our human resources director, Mark Penny, and of course, our one and only Chief of Police, Brian Gould. They worked hard, they were diligent, there was a lot of work to be done, and we got it done. And we're very happy that we can move forward now with a 4-year contract with a wonderful police department. And all the time we went through this, whatever we went through along the way, I want you guys all to know and tell the men and women of the department that we have total respect for what you do every day. It's important to us, it's important to the city, it's important to us selling the city that we have such a fine police department. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Councilman.
Does anybody on council have any questions for Councilman Proleski?
Yes. Is the vote public? What was the vote? What was
I think it was 107 to 1. There was one person, one member who was not in agreement. So it was overwhelmingly supported by the rank and file.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, at this time, I'll accept a motion to approve the bargaining unit contract between the City of Bristol and the Bristol Police Union as presented for the 4-year period beginning July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just want to say thank you for the police department. Thank you for everything you do. Sorry.
That's okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Chair votes yes.
We had done that previously, I think. Did we? Do you think? I'll make a motion to bring this item to the agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Jill.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Shall we vote again? Okay. So again, motion to approve the bargaining unit contract between the City of Bristol and the Bristol Police Union as presented for the 4-year period beginning July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Did somebody let the mayor know that she can come back in? Is she there?
Just for the record, would you see what you have for the actual year of the contract? I think I might have heard 2022, but would it be 2023?
2019 to 2022, June 30th, 2022.
It started last June.
It
2019.
is retroactive.
Yeah.
The motion given to me was through 2022.
That's correct, I think. 4-year.
2023.
It's retroactive deal to last July, I believe. Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I just was questioned on that, but we're good? Do we have a copy? So it goes to June 30th of 2023. It's a 4-year contract. Is that what we said?
Said 4-year
19 to
contract
20,
beginning
20.
July 1st, 2019
23.
through
Okay.
2022. I did say through 2022.
But it should be 2023.
Should be 2023.
Right, 4 years.
Isn't it only fitting that a contract that took over a year to negotiate would take at least 3 times to vote on it?
Absolutely, you know?
I think it's appropriate.
And there's some retroactivity, so I think that's part of that.
Can we amend the motion to include 2023
June.
of June, end of June, 2023?
Would you like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. So just to recap for new business, since our last meeting, the coronavirus has occupied a lot of time. In fact, just today, this is everything from today. So as many of you know, Governor Lamont did declare a state of emergency, and that is so that there can be appropriate measures per the order for protecting the health and safety. And that is going to allow him some flexibility. So we've been meeting. This is the second week in a row that we've met internally. And so we have a lot of information that has been going on with our city employees and those that interact with the public. We are looking at future events and calendars to see what's going to transpire, but for right now, we are actually trying to do a balance between normalcy and precaution. So for small groups, for audiences that are comprised of mostly Bristol people that are regular attendees at, for example, the senior center or library programs that are known to those that are involved in the programs, we are allowing things to proceed as normal. For larger groups, those are being handled differently, and as Councilman Barney alluded to, we do have some large community event gatherings that have been canceled on the Scholastic side. We are trying to do our best to maintain community events to the best of our ability, including the Shamrock Run, which will now be reconfigured a little bit to not use a school, but at this point, it is still scheduled. The police have altered their protocol for taking in calls for medical assistance so that there's a greater awareness of what's happening when they're responding to a call. And we are doing quite thorough cleaning on a nightly basis here in this building, which has a lot of traffic, as all of you know. I also wanted to take a moment to talk about the Renters Relief Program. Those applications open on April 1st, and they close on September 30th. At this point, we're asking that people who are participating in that program again do not come to City Hall, especially if they're ill, but in general, just to kind of relax some of the traffic right now. It does not matter whether you file your Renters Rebate Relief Program application on April 1st or October 1st. As long as you get it in, you're going to get your money at the same time. So that's one thing that we're trying to do, as well as monitor some of these others. It has been proven that social distancing is one of the only methods to date that is decreasing the exponential growth in communities. So one example that I'd like to give, especially to people who are disappointed at some of the cancellations that are happening, is if you look at the province of Wuhan, the first week of January, there were 444 confirmed cases of coronavirus. A week later, there were 5,000. And the week after that, there were 22,000. Communities within China, before they were sealed off, that actually had social distancing, actually saw a decrease. A decrease. And I think that that's something that we have to take a lesson from. Other countries as well, who reacted quickly, were able to stave off some of those larger numbers. So despite the sluggish response from Washington to date, we are hoping that we now have enough test cases that we can understand what the testing looks like, 2 in Connecticut, but many others. And we are hoping that in the next week or so, we can make some additional decisions. The Board of Education is participating with our weekly calls, as is ESPN, the hospital, and all emergency responders. So I think that we're covering all of our ground. So we are looking to be proactive, and we are also looking to be pragmatic. So it's been a little disappointing to see some of the social media
clamoring for, either the cheap joke or just some of the lack of understanding over this. And one of the rumors, obviously, is that there's cases at Bristol Hospital, and that's why the governor and Senator Blumenthal and other officials were here yesterday, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. As we discussed this morning at our briefing, they were here because actually Bristol Health is very proactive in its approach to this public health crisis, and they are a model hospital that they wanted to see and talk to the people involved in order to gain knowledge about what they're doing. So over the next few days, you're going to see trailers that are going to be used at Bristol Health if necessary. You might actually see a training exercise at the senior center for the Bristol-Burlington Health District to go through the exercise of what they would have to do if they had to set up a triage area in their parking lot. But we will endeavor to make sure that everybody has all the information that they need. The most important piece right now is if you are sick or feeling ill, or especially are feverish or exhibiting any of the symptoms that are known to be connected to this, that you should self-isolate, you should stay home, not go to work, and not congregate in large crowds. More importantly, you are to go to your primary care physician or telehealth first and not inundate the hospitals, which have to not only be prepared for an outbreak if it were to occur, but also are striving to keep all of their employees healthy so that they can be there for a response. So primary care physicians first, telehealth if appropriate, staying home, and obviously the quintessential washing of hands. So that's where we are, and I just would like to commend everybody who has really been pulled away from a lot of their daily duties in order to amass this type of response. But I think that it's one that once we've gone through all of it, hopefully we won't have to implement it. But I think the community should be aware that we are absolutely ready for it if we do have any cases develop in Bristol. Does anybody have any concerns or questions? Okay. So we'll go back to our agenda. If there's no other new business from council members. Moving on to resignations.
And there are 4 resignations, Your Honor. The first is from Linda Russell from the Bristol Historic District Commission. The second one is from Jake Carrier from the Board of Finance. The third is from Peter Del Mastro from the Zoning Commission. And the last one is from John Mace from the Charter Revision Commission.
Is there a motion to approve and accept those resignations as well as send letters of thanks to those who have served?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So for appointments, we have several. I will start with the Commission on Aging, and we will take them together as a group. They are all for 3-year terms running to March of 2023. We are reappointing Larry Zibikowski, Dino Bossi, and Kathy Duck to the Commission on Aging. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For that commission, they are all from District 1, and they are 2 unaffiliated voters and 1 is a Democrat. For the City Cemetery Commission, the motion is to reappoint both Linda Arbisman and Stanley Piotrowski, both Republicans, 1 from District 2, 1 from District 1, for a 3-year term to March of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next one are 2 reappointments to the Board of Ethics. The first is for David Roach for a 3-year term to March of 2023. And the second is for Bruce Barton, another 3-year term for March of 2023. One gentleman is from District 1, the other one is from District 3, and on this panel, we are appointing a Democrat and a Republican.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the Board of Finance, I am appointing Jonathan Mace to replace Jake Carrier, who resigned in February of 2020, for an unexpired term to June of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion is, I did have a brief bio for Mr. Mace. He had served on our last charter revision. He is actually the controller of Gaylord Hospital and has a background in property management as well as financial analysis as an accountant in previous positions. So I think that moving him over from Charter Revision to the Board of Finance will be a great addition to the board. He is a Republican from District 1. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the second one for the Board of Finance is to reappoint Marie O'Brien.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mrs. O'Brien is a Democrat. To the 10-year Capital Improvement Committee, I would like to appoint Orlando Kelfi to replace Jake Carrier as the Board of Finance representative on that panel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the Bristol Historic District Commission, I'm asking the council to appoint Catherine Norton, a Democrat, to replace Mary Kay Greger, an alternate member who is a Section 2-9 resignation for an unexpired term to January of 2021.
So moved. Oh, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next appointment is to appoint Larry Nelson, a Republican, as a regular member to replace Linda Russell, whose resignation we just accepted, for a term to January of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Dueling
This is wrong.
motions.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Nelson is from District 2, and Ms. Norton is from District 3. On the Mayor's Task Force on HIV/AIDS, the announcement tonight is simply to place the names of Hetty Kelly, Yahira Agudo, Doug Jensen, and Cinque Barlow as members of that task force, and I don't believe a vote is required. No, okay. So they will be joining the Mayor's Task Force on HIV/AIDS. For the Hoppers Birch Pond Committee, we're looking to restructure that a little bit, so I'd like to ask for appointments of David Marcel and Daniel Messier. One is an unaffiliated voter, one's a Democrat, both from District 2, the neighborhood adjacent to the Hoppers Birch Pond.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next appointment is to appoint Kimberly Plage to replace Jonathan Mace on the Charter Revision Commission, and Kimberly is a Republican from District 1.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next one is for the Southside School HVAC Upgrade Building Committee, we need to approve the nomination of Shelby Pons from the Board of Education as their member representing them on that committee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the second one is to approve the nomination of John Freemuth, a Republican, as a member of the professional community serving on the Southside School Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And for the Zoning Commission, to appoint Thomas Mara, an unaffiliated voter from District 2, to replace Peter Del Mastro, who resigned from the Zoning Commission in March of 2020, for an unexpired term to this June.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And contrary to popular belief, we only have 3 vacancies citywide for all boards and commissions. They are the Historic District. An alternate member is now needed to replace Mr. Nelson, who's been promoted. We need an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals, who needs to be either a Democrat or unaffiliated because there's too many Republicans already on that panel. And the same for the Zoning Commission. I'm looking for an alternate who must be a Democrat or an unaffiliated because there's too many Republicans on that panel already. So we don't want to upset the party balance. So if anybody would like to join the Historic District or the ZBA or the Zoning Commission, again, the 3 panels that have vacancies in the city. Feel free to contact the mayor's office, email, or Facebook, and we'll get your resume in.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Yes.
I mean, just to clarify, because I had heard some rumblings, so there was in fact 3 vacancies, and the majority of those were alternate anyways?
3.
3?
Trace.
Okay.
3.
Citywide?
Citywide for all 47 panels.
So
Yes.
then that thought that was being floated was totally without merit?
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
You are welcome. Moving on to agenda item 11, we are rescinding a motion that we approved at the February 11th City Council meeting regarding the filing of an application to the Federal Emergency Management Agency for an Assistance to Firefighters grant because we had previously done one in November. We believed at the time in February that the February one needed to be put in and the other one would be put to the side. As it stands, according to our grant writer, now the February motion is the one that needs to be rescinded because we didn't do that in November. So if you're as confused as I am on this.
We did it twice,
We
basically.
did it twice, apparently. But the numbers that were in November are the ones that we are now putting forward. So it's the February motion that needs to be rescinded. So if somebody could make that motion.
Motion to rescind the motion approved at the February 11th, 2020 City Council meeting regarding filing of an application to Federal Emergency Management Agency for an Assistance to Firefighters grant.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, the next 4 items are resolutions that will require roll call votes. The first is regarding the approval of final plans and project manuals and the professional cost estimate for the Memorial Boulevard Intra-District Arts Magnet School renovation project at Memorial Boulevard School located at 70 Memorial Boulevard, Bristol. So as there are resolutions, there are motions embedded within the agenda, so if we could all queue them up so that we can move along. Councilman Pileski, do you have the Memorial Boulevard motion?
I do.
Okay.
Resolved that the City of Bristol Council approve the final plans and project manuals as prepared for bidding and dated February 26, 2020, and the professional cost estimate completed in accordance with Level 3 of the ASTM International Standard E1557, Standard Classification of Building Elements and Related Site Work, Unit Format 11220, dated February 26th, 2020, for the Memorial Boulevard Intra-District Arts Magnet School renovation project at the Memorial Boulevard School located at 70 Memorial Boulevard in Bristol, Connecticut. And that's it. I'm sorry.
Second.
All right. So the resolution has been presented. There is a second. Is there any conversation or questions? I believe Councilman Pileski covered the highlights of why we're doing this and its role in the timeline. But does anybody else have any concerns or questions? Hearing none, a roll call vote starting on my far right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Resolution is approved. Item 13 is similar, a resolution regarding the approval of final plans and project manuals and the professional cost estimate for the Stafford School roof replacement project to include solar panels and mechanical upgrades located at 212 Louisiana Avenue, Bristol. Does somebody have the resolution handy?
I do have that, Your Honor. Resolved that the Bristol City Council approves the final plans and project manuals as prepared for bidding and dated 2/12/2020, and the professional cost estimate completed in accordance with Level 3 of ASTM International Standard E1557, Standard Classification of Building Elements and Related Site Work, Uniformat 11/2020, dated 2/12/20, for the Stafford School roof replacement project to include solar panels and mechanical upgrades located at 212 Louisiana Avenue in Bristol, Connecticut.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. I'm sure the Energy Commission is happy to see solar panels being considered. All right, hearing no other conversation, I will ask for a roll call vote starting on my far left.
Yes.
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 And the chair votes yes, the resolution is approved.
Moving on to item 14, the resolution regarding authorization for Mayor Ellen Zapo-Sasu or the acting mayor to execute documents related to the application, funding, and grant for School Readiness Grant Program from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021.
I have that, Your Honor. Be it hereby resolved by the City Council of the City of Bristol, Connecticut, that the Mayor, Ellen Zapo-Sasu, our acting mayor, is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents relating to the application, funding, grant for the School Readiness Grant Program from the Office of Early Childhood for the period of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, second year of the grant, including but not limited to any amendments to said application and any fiscal funding, grant documents, and any all agreements and any amendments thereto with local service providers to implement grant.
Second.
The motion has been presented and seconded. Is there any other question concerning it? Hearing none, a roll call vote on my far right.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, the resolution is approved. And our last item for the evening, the resolution regarding authorization for the mayor to execute a grant agreement and conservation and public recreation easement and agreement under Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance to acquire permanent interest in land known as Pigeon Hill property.
I have that, Your Honor. Resolved that Ellen Zapo-Sasu, Mayor of the City of Bristol, is authorized to execute on behalf of the City of Bristol a grant agreement in conservation and public recreation easement and agreement under the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program with the State of Connecticut for financial assistance to acquire a permanent interest in land known as the Pigeon Hill property. Bristol and Burlington, OWSA number 569, and to manage said land as open space land pursuant to Section 7-131D of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Second.
The resolution has been presented and motion has been seconded. Any additional conversation on the resolution?
I just want to say I'm excited to see this move forward as someone that travels often to go spend time outdoors with my family and hike. I enjoy all the programs that the Environmental Learning Center puts on for the city. There's some that are advertised on the scrolling display now, an Easter egg hunt at Barton's Nature Center in April, events like All Things Green. I go with my daughter and there's never nearly enough people there because the events are that fabulous, and that group does such a great job of maintaining that property and giving a service back to the city that means a lot for the quality of life that we enjoy in Bristol, and it's open to anyone in Bristol and beyond. So if you haven't been to those trails already, they're beautiful, and I can only imagine what good they're gonna do with this extra space, which I feel like you really can't even put a price tag on, having fresh open space for our families to enjoy in Bristol and anyone that needs to enjoy it, so.
And I think the Corporation Counsel's office has already started working on some of those grant documents, the easement and the title search and all of that. So we should be able to move along. As we've talked about at previous meetings, we are running parallel to but not connected to what Environmental Learning Centers is doing to acquire the Burlington parcels. So they are doing their grant, we're doing our grant, and so we're not constrained by waiting for them. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay, so that being said, a roll call vote starting on my left.
Yes.
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 And the chair votes yes, the resolution is approved. Is there any other business to come before the city council tonight? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for attending.